Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome to Unit Lost. I am Stylosa, and do we all need our ranks resetting? Has it gone on for too long, ladies and gentlemen, that Blizzard are keeping all of our statistics and then using them to effectively place us into the next season, but then using rapid SR adjustments? What I mean by that is, after you've finished your placement games, if you win a couple of games, then you get rapidly pushed up through the ranks. So what this does is it creates a lot of uncertainty. It pushes people into places that maybe they haven't earned just yet, so they stick out like sore thumbs. And on the other hand, it can tank people into the goddamn, I don't even know where, because they keep losing loads of games through no fault of their own. Now, a big point of this video is going to be through no fault of their own. I have been subjected to this in a big way. I've played a ton of competitive games, maybe 50 competitive games so far. I've played a lot of games, right, across two of my accounts, and I've got to be honest, right, there's only been a few examples where we've lost the game because the enemy team have outplayed us. All of the other defeats have been because we've had toxic players, people who are throwing the game, and just like trolls, or just like people being really ridiculous. And it kind of got me thinking, what is actually going on? So when I put the call out on Twitter and I said, guys, how are your games going? It was like I expected. It was all over the place. And I don't think this is specific to a certain rank either. It's not like this only happens in Platinum, this only happens in Diamond or Masters or GM or whatever. It's happening absolutely everywhere. So the question is SR inflated, and do we need a hard rank reset? Now, one thing Blizzard would never do is reset all of our statistics, because you have to look at the way they've designed the system. So the way the system works is they get our stats from every season, they stick them together into it basically generates a very complex number, which is our MMR, which basically says this is how good we are at Overwatch. So what it then does at the start of the next season, so we've just started Season 5, is it looks at our results from Season 4 and goes, okay, well, you ended at 3k, let's see how well you can do in your 10 placement games. If you lose them all, we're going to probably put you at 2,800 and see what happens. And that's kind of what it does. The problem is, though, and this is where I get, like, it becomes quite complicated now, is what happens if you were playing a meta hero, or you were a main of a meta hero in Season 4, yet in Season 5 that hero is no longer applicable, so you can't play other heroes at the level you were playing at, so you've been put into a position where you're with people who you actually cannot play at their level, so you get wrecked a lot, and that might cause toxicity. So that's only one way of looking at this. Now, of course, I'm a major advocate for people being able to play more than one character. Like, I know there are a lot of Mercy mains out there, and there seems to be Mercy mains in literally every single game that I've played, and sometimes there'll be like two Mercy, well, like, I actually had 3 Mercy mains in the same game, like, on my team, and I was like, what? I mean, I think we won, actually, but that's pretty bad, you know what I mean? Like, you need to be flexible to some degree. Like, you can't just go in and play one hero all the time, so that could skew your stats. But that's only one example of stats being messed up, right? And the way that maybe, even though Blizzard have got all this information on us as players, it might actually not be good data. It might be bad data in the sense it doesn't really reflect where we are as players. But this is a very complex subject to tackle, what stats Blizzard have got on us, how they work out our MMR, and all of that stuff. Like, they've touched on bits of it in the past, but they've never really been clear on the way it works completely. I think it's because it's probably like an industry secret. I know that these types of matchmaking systems and ranking systems are very difficult to create, and I'm sure Blizzard have got some very clever people working on it. But yeah, like, it does seem a little bit weird to me. So let me explain to you what's been going on with me. Because this does reflect a lot of you guys based off what you were telling me over Twitter and what I've seen in various places, on the official forums, on Reddit, absolutely everywhere. Ranked is really random right now. You could argue that ranked is random anyway, because you need to get matched with 5 other people who are going to fill slots and build a correct team. The problem with a lot of ranked games that end up being defeats is, more often than not, you have a very poor team composition because people are unwilling to play other heroes. I'm playing DPS, you know, so whatever. Like the example I gave with the 3 Mercy mains. Yeah, those Mercy mains could have just been like, I'm playing Mercy, then had a massive argument over who was playing Mercy, and then just did nothing else, or maybe tried to play DPS, which they can't play, and then it's like, okay, we've lost the game because of that. So that goes to the random element of it. What makes it worse, though, at the start of a season is people's ranks are random at this start as well. It's not like the system's had enough time to work out where players belong to give you good games. So you've got this element of, you need to get lucky with 5 other players that will pick tanks and healers and DPS and build a team, but also you need to get lucky that you've actually got people who kind of belong where you're playing the game. Now, like I said at the start of this video, it's both inflated and deflated SR. You could have lost a load of games through no fault of your own, which I have done this, and it's not like I'm whining in this video, because I think this is going to be reflective of what's going on in the wider community. Now, it doesn't really matter to me if I lose games in competitive or whatever. I know the level I can play this game at, so I know I can get back to that level, and that's fine. It might take a little bit longer if you get more trolls in your game. The key thing is to keep sort of level-headed about this. Don't get worked up about it, and don't get really pumped about it, because I think this is what happens to a lot of people. They'll go into games and they'll go, right, okay, let's just come up with a wild example. Let's say you ended last season at you were in Masters somewhere, let's say. So you do your placement games for this season, and now you're Diamond. So you're probably thinking to yourself, I'm Diamond, this is the worst thing ever. These players are so bad, right? I'm a much better player than this, so I'm just gonna wreck everybody, and I'm gonna carry, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. So you start really try-harding. Now, you should try hard in competitive, don't get me wrong, but then you take it to maybe another level, and then what you start doing is getting aggressive and toxic to your team. Now, I've seen this happen, where players on my team will start screaming and shouting, I was GM this, I was GM that, I'm going to do this, and they're screaming over the microphone. I'm like, whoa, calm down. It's the start of the season. It don't matter. Nobody cares about these ranks. You know, it doesn't matter. We will just literally get back to where we belong. Chill, but they don't, and they get really aggressive. So to give you guys some examples of what happened to me, and I've wrote them down, like I've always said as well, guys, I'm not ever going to show people's names in videos and like trash on people because maybe they've just had a bad day or whatever. That's why we're watching some total mayhem footage in the background, because this is where I had to go to chill out, because even I was getting a bit like, yep, this is a bit ridiculous. So first example, there was a group of 3 people just using dance emotes. This was on Volskaya Industries, and they were on my team. It was a triple master stack, and they just danced, and I'm like, guys, what's going on? And they were dancing, and I'm like, okay. And then they started singing to each other, and I'm like, this is it actually would have been quite funny video footage. I do have it recorded, but like I said, I'm not going to show it. And I'm like, okay, why are they doing this? Because it's memey. It's funny, isn't it? Well, it is funny, don't get me wrong, but not in competitive. Do that in quick play. Do that in custom game. Well, don't even do it in quick play. Be stupid. Do it in custom games. And that's a problem. Another problem with competitive, right? Where it doesn't really like, maybe it's attracting the wrong type of players. I don't know. But these players' profiles, I looked at them, and lo and behold, very minimal games. Every competitive season, one of the players was a Winston player. He had the golden Winston gun, and one of the all of his seasons he played in all of them, all the competitive seasons, but played very minimal games, like 15, 20, maybe 30 games, and that was it. So that tells me this player's not really bothered about competitive, and just was doing it just to get his, I don't know, his placement rank, and then we'd just probably leave it at that, and that was that, to get his SR, not his SR, these competitive points for the end of the season, to buy the golden weapon, which is a whole other issue, which I covered in another video, where Jeff said he doesn't really like the fact that there is golden weapons that are a reward for playing competitive, because it incentivizes the wrong kind of behavior. So yeah, that was a thing. 3 people who just danced the entire game. So it left me and the other 2 guys on the team to try and defend Volskaya first point with 3 people dancing. You know the thing on the second point of Volskaya? It's like in the middle of the capture point. It's like a little podium thing, you know, that round thing. They were just dancing around that like it was a campfire. And I'm just like, so that was one example of stupidness. That's great. Then this was actually really kind of bad. There was a group of 2 people who were very racist, and they were making outrageous remarks, like ridiculous. They were doing it over voice chat, and they were doing it in voice chat. Those people got blocked and deleted, but of course, with 2 people like that on your team, they're not going to play the game. They're just there to do whatever. So yeah, that was not great. And then probably the funniest one, I was playing on Hanamura, and we had a troll Mercy. I've never seen this before. The Mercy player would not res anyone, but would tell you it's got res available, and then type in the chat going, haha, I misclicked, or like, haha, no res. And I'm like, what is going on? Like, I have not seen any kind of behavior like that, really, in competitive. I mean, I've seen trolls, yeah. I mean, there was a Junkrat I remember from ages ago who kept jumping off the map. That was on Volskaya Industries as well, because he couldn't get DPS and etc, etc. And it's like, to me, that's crazy. But this is happening very often in all of the competitive games that I've been playing. When I lose a game, I never really feel like I've been beat by the enemy team. Only in a few examples has that actually happened. So the question is, how do we fix all of this? What do Blizzard need to do? Well, I think rank reset could be one potential option. Do I think Blizzard would do that? I don't think so, because Blizzard want all the statistics on what we're doing as players. Now, if a rank reset did come in and you were given the option to reset all of your well, not reset your statistics, but reset your MMR for the start of a season, it's going to result in a lot of games which are not fair, and that's what Blizzard don't want. But obviously the funny thing is, we're kind of having that issue right now, but hopefully in time it balances itself out. So for example, if you've got a bronze player and a GM player and they both reset their ranks, they could theoretically end up in the same game, which would kind of be pretty bad. Although I've got to give it to Overwatch, because when I've started new accounts in the past, so these accounts have got completely no MMR and the game's got to work out where you belong, it only takes a few levels before it starts putting you in games against players who are around your level, which I thought was absolutely amazing for it to do that. So it's not like you can sit in lower tiers and just wreck people for ages and ages. It will rapidly adjust you, which is beautiful. So what do Blizzard need to do? Like, can they give us a rank reset? I don't know. I'd like to do that, because I'd like to be able to just wipe out. I mean, I don't know why. And this is probably me being a little bit ignorant, and there's probably some of you guys out there watching this video thinking, well, Sty, I can give you a counter argument. If you can, put it in the comments below. I don't know why they don't just reset the ranks at the start of a season, because I don't think it will be any different than it is now. Like, because now, you know, I've had players in my games, which I don't mean any disrespect to them, but I don't think they belong in those games. And also, I maybe have been in games that I don't belong in, right? So it's like, well, what's going on here? This is basically tantamount to it being reset anyway. Like, it still causes the same kind of grief. I don't know. The other problem is punishment. Players need to be punished when they do this kind of stupid crap. Like those 3 guys dancing in competitive. Now, I know it is borderline impossible for Blizzard to take action against these players, because if they're not playing a lot of competitive games, then how can you punish them? Like, by banning them from competitive? They wouldn't even care. You know, even if they got multiple reports against them, they wouldn't care. I think the bigger issue lies with the type of player you want in Overwatch competitive. Now, I don't know what the statistics are in terms of who plays what game mode when it comes to Overwatch. I'd imagine quick play in the arcade is very popular. I'd imagine competitive is very popular. But popular how so? And why are people playing competitive? You see, in my eyes, competitive is where you go if you'd like to become better at the game in its standard rule format. So what I mean by that is you take your characters and you think, okay, I want to be a better Soldier 76 player. So what I'm going to do is really work on my positioning, work on my target priority, and work on all these kinds of different things and become a better player. Not, I'm going to go into competitive and dance with my friends because I think that'll be funny, because people on my team are going to get really angry at me, and I think that's going to be great. And it's like a different mentality. And that's not really something that can be solved with punishment, I don't think. It's something that needs to be solved with, well, like the golden weapon incentivization of competitive. Play it and you can get a golden weapon. It's the only way you can get this. I think is wrong. Jeff agrees that it's wrong and would like to go back on it if he could. But I think they need to do something else. They almost need to run a test on you to see if you're capable of playing competitive. And that sounds harsh. I don't mean skill-wise. I just mean, like, do you have the competitive mentality? Because it is really bad out there, guys. So what I want you guys to do in the comments of this video is, I want you to let me know how things have been going on. Like I said in this video, I gave you 3 really, really crazy examples of games that I've had to deal with. It feels very random at the moment, and it almost makes me not want to play Overwatch. And surely that's a really bad thing when it comes to Overwatch. If it's got a game mode that makes you not want to play the game because the games are so mismatched or things are so random. I mean, actually, one last thing I will touch on before I end this video is the crazy disparity in SR some people have shown. Like, some people have gone down 500 SR. How is that possible? Like, how have they lost 500 SR after placement games? Even if you lost all of those games, 10 games if you were at, like, I don't know, 3k, you wouldn't lose 500 SR. You'd probably lose like 150, maybe 200 at max, but 500. It's like, what? Insane, ladies and gentlemen. It's just insane. So I don't know what's going on. I think, well, this video could just go on forever, because I could literally talk about this forever and ever and ever, but I'm going to end it at this. I think they need to look at something, don't they? Something needs to be done. It needs to be... You need to have the reason to play competitive is because you want to get better at the game, and to do that you need to first understand that, and the game needs to communicate that to you and not just say, oh, play this and get a golden weapon, i.e. the 3 guys dancing around the point on Volskaya, which borderline triggered me, ladies and gentlemen. On the other hand, punishments for people that do this need to be a little bit more severe, I think, because this is a time investment, and time is the most precious thing we've got, ladies and gentlemen. And if you go into a game and you've got a troll at the very first get-go of the game, you know you've just wasted 15 minutes of your life because you can't leave the game because you're going to suffer a penalty. It's a massively complicated issue, guys, but be real with me in the comments below. It is something we do need to talk about. Do we need a rank reset? Do we need to look at punishments for people playing competitive? Do we even need a competitive test before you're allowed into competitive? I don't know. Ladies and gentlemen, I've been Stylosa, and this is Unit Lost. And this has been a very detailed discussion on the state of competitive right now. Alright guys, you can follow me on Twitter, which is @UnitLostGaming. You can join the Discord, which is discord.gg/UnitLost, and I will catch you on the next one. Toodaloo.